Hello, how's it going? All right, everyone, this is your lead instructor, Gennaro Washington here, CEO of Cortex Solutions, and we're going to be talking about identity and access management, IAM for short, brought to you by ACSMI. Now let's get started, shall we? So IAM, it's one of those frameworks within cybersecurity that's going to be utilized to manage identities and control access to certain resources. That's very, very important. It's really going to ensure that the right individuals can have the right access to certain resources. I talked about before the differences between authentication and authorization. Where you can authenticate someone, but what are they authorized to do? And IAM kind of plays that vital role in safeguarding the information that a user would normally need access to, or really just enforcing the safeguards as well too. So think about it like this, from securing a privilege account to protecting, the environment that the system itself lives in, IAM is going to be that kind of intermediary, if you will, because it's all about understanding that, we need to ensure that the right people and accounts have access to the right type of data as well, too. One of the other things to keep in mind as well is one of the key aspects of having a robust security strategy and implementation plan is going to absolutely be the need for IAM. Let's walk through some of the key points. Well, authentication and authorization, I just talked about this. Authentication really is all about, just establishing that the person is who they say they are, right? And being able to authorize dependent upon, what actions, what data does the user need to access as well too. It's going to be based upon these methods that IAM uses, such as multi-factor authentication, or it's going to be role-based as far as what permissions are enabled based upon the role of the individual, or it's going to be something along the lines of making sure that it's relevant as well too. PAM, privileged access management. This is just another form of safeguarding the accounts with elevated privileges. Now, administrators and super users or super admins, you may see them as well, they're going to have the more control over an IT asset, right? Now, ways to control that. Well, you want to make sure that your IAM, your solution, has the ability to monitor, to log, to revoke permissions, especially if someone has left the company or an account has been compromised. Now, all along, us really minimizing the actual risk itself, it really depends upon the vulnerabilities by ensuring that we're applying such granular controls, because we don't want to leave anything out. We want to be able to prevent these data breaches that exploit credentials, right? A lot of the times, it's someone's credentials that have been exploited through the use of social engineering, or ransomware attacks may happen. They're going to take control of the system, right? Take control of the way it's being utilized and encrypt everything. Now you don't have access to anything. Now, FIM, or Federated Identity Management, is a little bit different, right? This provides more of an authenticated way to identify yourself across multiple platforms. Now, certain mechanisms that are utilized are SAML, Security Assertion Markup Language, or OpenID Connect. This is going to be a way to verify user credentials. For example, an employee logging into a third-party SaaS tool, think of like Google, right? By using their corporate credentials or some other, platform, but by using their corporate credentials, they can achieve this, but also be able to log into other forms, to other platforms. Now, some business applications are already having at least this kind of integrated. But ideally, what happens is when you have federated identity implemented, this is going to reduce the need for passwords. Not really reduce it. What I'll say is it reduces the password fatigue. What I mean by that is, you don't have to necessarily always go about changing your password all the time. It's a better way, a better experience, but also keeping in mind, we need to be in alignment with the controls that say, hey, we need to have really complex passwords. Okay? It works well in cloud environments too, because think about it, right? If you're accessing other organizations, other clouds, we talked about multi-tenant before, if we're accessing multiple environments, you want to be able to actually do that in a way where it's seamless. And federated identity management helps out with that. Now, behavior analytics and anomaly detection. Think about it like this. We talked about it before. Behavior analytics. We're trying to understand, what is the typical behavior of a user? What are the patterns? What are the login times? How many times they log in? Are they logged in at 2 different locations at the same time, the same profile? That's weird. You should look into that. Now, that brings me to zero trust though, because the principle of zero trust really just assumes that no one is going to be trusted by default. And IAM is that foundation because it allows us to continuously implement zero trust because we're continuously verifying the user or the device. Now, some policies that you can put into place. Think about it as far as like allowing users to do certain things based upon access control, based upon their need. Okay. So what this may look like is an employee may require a MFA and a VPN to log in remotely. But you can continually monitor that session. You can continually monitor to make sure that they're inbound with the sessions. They're not going outside of the session time frame too. Because sometimes you may want to put into place that, hey, your employees can only log in within the normal work hours. If someone were to log in outside of that, that's suspicious. That's something that you want to look more into. Now, single sign-on implementation. This also helps because it's going to simplify user authentication. We talked about the differences between authentication and authorization, right? By allowing one credential set to be used across multiple services, similar to FIM, similar though. But an example could be, employees are accessing emails. They're accessing a tool that allows us to have all our documents in one place. They're accessing the HR systems through one login. Maybe the HR systems are a collaboration of different platforms, but you have the ability to do that with single sign-on. Now let's talk about the use of access, governance, and compliance, right? The fulfillment of that. Well, IAM systems, they do integrate really well with governance protocols, right? Because we're always trying to align with the regulatory body like GDPR and HIPAA. That's kind of what we're talking about. Think of like governance as like the umbrella. And anything under that, we're going to be aligning our policies, our procedures, our business operations, how we go about understanding risk management. It's all going to kind of align with that. We want to be able to review our policies periodically. We want to be able to review the systems, the policies, whatever we have in place. Because again, we want to make sure that we're compliant. And we want to make sure that only authorized personnel have the ability to access that information, going back to the access control and minimizing the risk as well. What really is necessary is understanding that, hey, if you create an account as a developer and you keep that account on that server, you don't want to do that. That's a orphan account. There's no longer a need for that. You want to be able to take that away, to deactivate that account as well. Identity, provisioning, and lifecycle management. So think about it like this. If you're trying to understand the life cycle of identity, it's almost similar to the life cycle of keys and how you go about doing so. And automating the aspect of the provisioning and deprovisioning, right, of users as they come on board and come off board. Right? It's all about being able to understand that, hey, there's a life cycle to this. And when you go about revoking credentials, that's a good thing. Right? You want to prevent unauthorized access from people that are not there anymore. And then the integration with IoT devices and the security around it, because that's the thing too. We have to ensure that security is at the forefront. Even though IoT devices, a lot of times they come default with no type of security. But keep that in mind that, it's a way for us to ensure that we're enabling and thinking about the future. An IAM tool is able to actually assign an IoT device an actual identity and track that activity. So this allows us to ensure that we are in line with identity of a device, that zero trust is absolutely still there. It's a way for us to minimize IoT threats, right? Because we know who that device is. Scalable solutions though for IAM, right? Think about the modern enterprise, right? We're all about growth, scalability with our cloud platforms. So the scalability of IAM, it ensures that we can basically handle dynamic users as they come and go, dynamic landscapes as they grow and shrink. All right, the cloud nature of it, that's exactly what we're looking at to build upon. Seamless integration. Same thing when it comes to cloud provisioning of different resources and virtual machines. We want to do that seamlessly. An example of this could be, we want to secure remote access, right, for our teams. Well, if you have an organization that allows employees to work from home, to work in different locations, but the other aspect of struggling to ensure that they have secure access to this sensitive information, well, you want to deploy single sign-on and multi-factor authentication, right? We're adding on layers of security that is important. Because we want to be able to monitor the access patterns. We want to be able to monitor the behavior analytics to detect some certain anomalies that may actually occur. So the outcome is going to be the employees can securely access the systems through the use of a VPN, through the use of multi-factor authentication, right? And also be able to have advanced monitoring techniques around that, because we want to be able to flag something that's unusual. We don't want all the false positives. We want to be able to understand that, hey, this was an actual threat, and now let's investigate this a little bit more. But again, it's been great. This is Gennaro, your lead instructor, CEO of Cortex Solutions, brought to you by ACSMI, and we just talked about identity and access management. See you in the next one. Take care.